My name is Alan Dusterhouse. I'm Assistant Professor of Management and Marketing in the Tabor School of Business. The most important part of networking for me is making connections. I like to be able to find ways that I have something in common with other folks, and hopefully, maybe in the future, there might be some opportunities to work together. Recruiting people into a network, for me, quite frankly, is one of the toughest things. I'm not always good at it, but what I do try and do is to reach out to folks on things that I know that we have in common and share an interest and a passion for, and hope that can keep the connection alive. Questions I like to ask include, how do you prefer to spend your time if you're in control of the day? I like to also ask what people's passions and interests are. If I'm just meeting someone in a business context, rather than ask them where do they work or what job do they have, I might ask them what keeps them busy. That way it can kind of alleviate whether they are maybe a stay-at-home dad or a mom that has a part-time side hustle, and not make them feel like they have to have a full-time job. So questions I wouldn't ask, certainly not the first time that I meet someone, are around politics, personal beliefs, religion. To me, I'm really looking for commonalities that we share so that hopefully we have a reason to want to talk in the future. The contact information I most leave with folks is my mobile number, because you can text or you can call, and it's easier to remember than a long email address, and certainly a physical address doesn't seem to be used by folks anymore. So generally speaking, it's the phone number.
I'm Martin Atkins. I'm the music industry coordinator here at Millikan University. I have an extensive background in the music business, having been in several bands, Public Image Limited, Killing Joke Ministry, 9 Inch Nails, and my own band Pigface. I've been playing since I was 9 years old. I have my own record label, written a few books, speak about the music business all over the world, and spend my time here in Decatur at Millikan. I think the most important thing about networking is to not think of it as collecting a group of people that will be useful to you, but rather to make yourself available to a network of people that you can be useful to. And just that simple switch turns you from a rabid, help me person that I want to distance myself from, to an asset and a useful tool and an ally to people who are, for the most part, always in need of help in one form or another. When bringing somebody into my network, I try and remember that there are people I know that I met 40 years ago. So there are no parameters of what my involvement, what my efforts should be. Because if you think in terms of the next week or the next year or the next 3 years of your life, you might put in this much effort into creating that connection. If you more fully understand that you might be creating a connection for life, then it gives you a better idea of how to allocate your own resources accordingly. And I like to think, instead of how can I bring this person into my network, is how can I become part of this person's network? So once again, I'm just flipping this stuff around. How can I be valuable to this person? Because something that's important to realize, I think, is nobody really gives a crap about what's important to you. Everybody gives a crap about what's important to them. So if you can help them with the things that are important to them, you will become important to them in turn. What are some questions I might want to ask? That's a really good question. Actually, I just bought like a card deck of like conversation starters. So if this is a problem for you, you might want to do that too. Definitely try and broaden the things that are of interest to you. It gives you a better chance of saying something interesting to somebody I'm a musician. I play drums. I produce records. I have my own brand of coffee. I like to travel. I have 4 kids. I'm a terrible DJ. The more things you can talk about, and I think to take a step back, the more things you experience yourself, the more things you can knowledgeably, engagingly talk about. And once again, definitely concentrate on the other person and not yourself. In terms of leaving contact information with someone, I still like business cards. I go to lots of conferences and there's all kinds of like bump your phones and magical stuff. But there's also something that happens when you give somebody a card. And in Japan, there's a whole ritual involved in giving somebody a card and accepting a card. And I think that's there for a good reason. When you touch something and somebody touches it, you create more of a connection, which is what you want with your network. And a way that when somebody gets home from a conference or an event, they have 3 or 4 cards that remind them of who they met and who they spoke with. Sometimes I don't leave any information at all because I'm trying to camouflage my efforts to desperately network with somebody. So I might not network with them as a way of showing that I'm not trying to network, which is a great way to network. You can always connect with them on LinkedIn afterwards, like, hey, I met you at this thing. And so there's different ways to camouflage your desperation.